أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings be upon all of our respected viewers. Welcome to Ahlulbayt TV and the Ahlulbayt Muharram special set of programs during the first 10 days of this holy month when we commemorate the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And we have had the opportunity, alhamdulillah, to welcome to the studios up until now Sheikh Usama Al Attar, who is reciting here in the city of London. I'm sure you're all aware, but if you haven't, if you're not and you haven't had the opportunity to go, he is reciting in Salam Foundation here in Northwest London. If you just Google his name and the Salam Foundation, you'll be able to get the full address. He recites at 9 p.m. inshallah, so well worth a try if you can get down inshallah. And of course we have the benefit of having him here again today for another hour inshallah. Please feel free to call in on the topic of the day, which is respect, and he will inshallah be giving us many lessons that we can take from this particular virtue, and of course relating it to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Let's welcome him to the studio, Sheikh Usama Al Attar. Nice to have you with us once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Tell me why content, or being content, patience, courage, selfishness, and today respect. Tell me why you think this is an important topic to be discussed in terms of the virtues that we can.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin. There was a counselor in Vancouver, Canada. A counselor at a school. Back in the year 2000, she published an article where she said the title of the article was "Youths of Today Lack the Basic Skills of Manners." And she says of her experience, she talks of an experience, and this was back in the year 2000. She said, "I went to a restaurant and I was having dinner there. A group of youth come to the restaurant." She said that they were dressed actually elegantly, which is a surprise, you know, she was surprised. But apparently she discovered that these youths were planning to head to the prom.
Okay.
So that's why they were dressed really in tuxedos and elegant suits. So they just came to have dinner first and then they'll take off. Now, she said, when I looked at them, I was like intrigued by their appearance. However, once they sat at the table, which was adjacent to our table, and they started behaving, you could see their lack of respect, their language, their etiquette was just terrible. And she wrote a whole article about this, you know. And she said, among the reason why we're seeing things like this happening in this day and age is because parents are spending less and less time with their children to educate them about what's right and what's wrong. She says, for example, in her opinion, the family dinner is very important. She said at the family dinner, the father, the mother is sitting at the table. If the child does something inappropriate, then the father and the mother would educate him or her, and plus it also gives the opportunity for the family to talk. So how was your day in school today? What did you do? And so on and so forth. It's basically the time when the family gets together. She says we're seeing less and less of this happening in this day and age because of, you know, the demands of life. The mother has to work, the father has to work, and sometimes they have to work 2 shifts, 2 jobs. So what happens is these youth come from school and the food has basically been prepared, or sometimes it's not even been prepared. So what happens is they resort to junk food. And in fact, there's another research about this as well, which says that because of parents working overtime, more increase in obesity is being observed among kids due to probably eating unhealthy foods. So nonetheless, she's talking about it from the manners perspective, the respect perspective, the akhlaq perspective. And now if we fast forward to 13 years later, or almost 14 years later, So what we see is now we're in the era of the internet, the era of the social networking websites, where I see a lot of youths, unfortunately, stripping down the boundaries of respect. When it comes to the way they communicate with other youths, the way they communicate with the world. I mean, when you're posting something online, it's something that's going out to everyone. Some of the language that's being used there, and you'd find, for example, in some cases, I saw a muhajjaba, a young lady with hijab, and on the back screen of her photo is an inappropriate word, one of those swear words in the back screen, and you'd wonder what. It's kind of a paradox here, You should be giving a nice, image of Islam, akhlaq, behavior. So what is that doing here? Or you find a young man, a mu'min, a brother who's got a very beautiful name, yet he posts himself with a singer, or with going in a concert. And he says like this, and even though this brother is, the funny thing, sometimes you find them at the time of Ashura, he'll post a post about Imam Hussein, Ya Hussein, which is good. I mean, everything, excuse me. I'm not saying you should avoid this, but at the same time, one should also keep everything in perspective here, in context. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect I'm looking at it is, unfortunately, more and more people these days, youths, are lacking some respect for elders, for parents. I mean, look at it, the Quran, it says, "O those who believe, if you see elders coming into the majalis, then give them room. Give them room." Imagine, so Quran even touched on these little details about respecting not just your mother and father here. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Do not, disobey them, do not say anything that would hurt them. Generally, any elder person, show them respect. So if an older man walks into the room, give him the preferred seat, give him a comfortable seat, and so on and so forth. These things sometimes we don't observe anymore. You find the youth is sitting down there, has got the comfortable seat, an older fellow comes in, and he just sits there, doesn't move. You find some people in the majalis stretching their feet, in the face of everyone else. Now I understand sometimes people may have some knee problems, some issues, and for that maybe it would be good on the majalis end to provide some chairs, so that even when you see a young man sitting on a chair, let's not be judgmental.
Sure.
And saying, "Oh, look at this young man, what is he doing?" I mean, a lot of people these days play soccer sometimes, they play football, the American football, play other sports, where sometimes they injure themselves and they have issues with their knees. So even though you find a guy in his 20s, but he might need to sit on a chair because of some injury. Although he might appear to walk properly, he'll behave properly, let's also not be judgmental at the same time. So I'm not trying to kind of paint everyone with the same brush, but I'm saying those who do not have an excuse, let them give the space for those who need it most. When you sit, do not try to sit on a chair. If you are in pain, try not to stretch your legs in the face of someone. The Prophet ﷺ was never seen stretching his legs in public in front of anyone else. When entering into the majlis or entering, say Assalamu alaikum. I mean, beautiful, something simple. In a sense, saying hello everybody, even sometimes us Muslims, Shia, would walk into the house, "Hey, hello everyone," say Assalamu alaikum. Try to shake the hands of the mu'mineen, if the sisters with the mu'minat. Shaking the hands, it is said, the hadith, when you do this, the minute you release the hand, let go of them, then your sins will fall down just like the leaves in fall would fall down. So, and the reason, of course, behind this is because it creates social interaction, social, love and harmony among the community, to shake each other's hands, to keep everyone in perspective. These are some of the etiquettes which these days we're finding people less, let's say, familiar with. Sure. And interestingly, about a year or two ago, I was listening in Canada. We have a famous channel called the Canadian Broadcast Corporation, CBC. They had a show where they discussed the effects of the social media on youth's behavior and interaction with real people. So they brought some analysts, psychologists, and some youths themselves who were saying that because more and more we're dealing with, or the youth, they're dealing with virtual people as opposed to real people.
Yes.
So then what's happening is sometimes this is slowly affecting their way of dealing with people. Sure. So a youth was brought on the show, for example. He said, I realized this when one day a friend of mine came to me and I saw him sad at school, was not feeling well. I told him, what's the matter? He said, my uncle passed away. And he said, and instead of the word that came out, oh, that's cool. And he's like, oh my God, that's cool. What did I just say? You know, he said, because I didn't know what to say.
Sure.
He said, I've never been through such an experience before. And he's like, that's when I realized maybe I'm spending too much time online. That with virtual people, that I need to spend more time with real people. I shouldn't be saying, it's cool, your uncle passed away. So it may sound funny, but guess what? I mean, they had a whole show about it, and maybe this individual represents a lot of other people who may experience similar things. So because of the whole dynamics of what I'm seeing in the youth today, all these internet and so on and so forth, I thought that this concept of respect, although it may seem to be so obvious, but sometimes you need to touch on these obvious topics because we take them for granted and we actually forget about them. So we need to go back to the roots, let's say.
Inshallah. Okay, brilliant. Of course, there are many questions that are generated from the comments you've made on this very interesting topic. But before we do, let's go to the phone lines. We do have a caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother, and assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Usama.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I wanted to make a comment today that I don't usually go for the majlis during Muharram because I find that it goes right over me. But my sister talked me into attending your majlis, and you've taught me a lot. And through that, I've actually recommended yourself for other people to come. I just find that everyone can really relate to you. And it's actually helped in terms of sometimes we do commit sins, astaghfirullah, but you don't know of it because of the kind of community that you interact with. But you've actually really highlighted those points, and may Allah reward you, and you are in my du'as because you've really taught me a lot about things that I didn't even know about. So I look forward to coming to your majlis tonight as well.
Thank you very much, sister. I really am undeserving of this praise, but thank you very much. It's very kind of you. It's really humbling.
Thank you so much.
May Allah bless you.
Thank you very much, sister, for the phone call and the comments, and of course that should spur many of you on to the lecture. Although I keep encouraging you to go. Apparently, unfortunately, because the lectures are so popular, there isn't a great deal of space, but that shouldn't deter you. I'm sure they will find space for you somewhere. So please do attend, and as you've heard, you will no doubt definitely be able to relate.
There's space for them in our heart.
Thank you. Sheikhna, you've mentioned the situation, the deterioration of respect in our in societies. West, and I suppose to a lesser extent even in some Eastern societies. Can we, can we blame the youth? Is it not just because of, like you say, maybe they're spending too much time online, so of course parents have a role to play, schools have a role to play, and us as a community of Muslims definitely have a role to play to teach them the etiquette of the Ahlulbayt, peace and blessing be upon them. And so isn't this maybe a wake-up call for us to teach them? I mean, that classic example of the feet, we see it all the time, but again, as you said rightly so, we shouldn't be judgmental. And I think that a lot of these youths do this, have their legs stretched out, because to them there's nothing wrong with it, and they don't know otherwise. So isn't that something that should spur us to maybe do more for our youth?
Well, the responsibility falls not only on one party. Okay, it's everyone. Okay, remember, it's a society, right? Which means collective efforts as a society. So one effort or one responsibility lies on the parents. And Brother Abdul Rauf, you're a father yourself, and I'm a father myself. So we know sometimes we as parents, in order for us to kind of take a break from the children, we just turn on the TV. And the minute the children see cartoons and television, they just get glued. Okay, and we're like, okay, great. Now I understand sometimes when you have, 3 or 4 children and you just can't cope, you need a break. That's understandable. That's okay. And alhamdulillah, these days also with the coming up with some satellite channels that have Shia, kind of akhlaq and ideologies, it's also not too bad. But sometimes what happens is these kids are just glued to the cartoons, to the TV. We try to kind of get rid of them because it is easy. You just turn on the television and let them watch television for 3-4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. And you can do whatever you want. You can get on doing some of the business, laundry, chores, cooking, etc. So it is convenient. However, you got to pause for a second and ask yourself, what are they learning from this television? Is this television really teaching them akhlaq? I mean, some of those cartoons, and I'm talking about those ones you see on regular, mainstream TV. What do they teach these kids? The way they talk, the way they act, the behavior. I mean, they're teaching them to be disrespectful. I mean, if you watch, sometimes I would sit down and watch, what is this? Like, I mean, as parents, we have to be really sit down and watch. What are our kids seeing here on television? And I don't want to mention some of the names of the cartoons, but, some of them, they're I may use the adjective disgusting in terms of behavior and attitude and akhlaq, the way they talk each other. It's funny to punch someone. It's funny to make fun of someone. And then it's kind of ironic when you say, oh, we want to fight bullying, but yet some of these cartoons, in a funny way, they teach bullying. And they kind of consider it as funny. And hence, some of these kids who don't know, I mean, they grow up with this kind of mentality or with this kind of ideology that, it's funny to bully someone. I don't want to really hurt him. That's not really the intention. I'm just trying to be funny. Where there's nothing funny about it. But so a responsibility falls on the parents. It does require more effort, obviously, for us to sit down with them and talk to them and play with them and educate them. Of course, but again, it's a responsibility, for us to educate them. So that's one. A responsibility on the educators, at school, the teachers. If I, as a teacher, am an individual who, let's say, use foul language and I'm not really a proper role model, well, guess what? What's going to happen to these kids as well? Sure. So to the best of my ability as an educator, and especially I tell people who are educators in weekend schools, Islamic weekend schools, I try to remind them that you people are educators whether you are at the school or off the school, because this child will look at you as a role model, on and off. So some sisters, for example, when they come to the Shia Islamic school, they will wear hijab. Outside, they'll take it off. Now this youth, for example, one day he's walking in Tesco, for example, and he sees his teacher without hijab. What message is going to him or to her? It's okay for me not to wear hijab, because here's my teacher to her. And as a teacher, the teacher is kind of a role model.
Of course.
People actually do interact with the teachers. So that's educators. Third is the individual. The individual, you have a responsibility of learning what's right and what's wrong. That's why Allah gave us the aql, the mind. So these are some of the responsibilities. We cannot just point it to one particular individual. We have to divide the roles. And as you said, we as community members and teachers and educators and lecturers all have to play a role in doing this.
Inshallah. Thank you very much indeed. We do have another caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
I'm on live?
Yes, you are.
Oh, sorry, sir. It's just calling from London. Obviously, I'm a brother of Sunni, and obviously I've got a lot of Shia friends, and I just wanted to know about the respect. About they talk about obviously some of my friends that are Shia.
Yes.
They respect obviously the companions of the Prophet, like obviously Abu Bakr, Umar. But I don't understand the situation of the hatred of some Shia that hate the Khalifs.
Okay, brother.
Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate your call. Well, my dear brother, we, like the followers of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, we say that we respect the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm not just saying this because I am here on television. I really genuinely say this. We respect the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These were individuals who carried Islam. I mean, you're talking about people who sacrificed their lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we cannot really underestimate their power and the contribution they made. At the same time, we also say that not all companions are equal. Not everyone is equal. You had great companions, people, I mean, just like think of it, I mean, at a school, at a class, not all your students will be equal. You'll have some who will excel, will get the A pluses, and some who will fail. So you have a range of students. Similarly, the Prophet ﷺ, let's assume him as a teacher of a class, a greater class, and you have variety of students in that class. Some of them are excellent, but some, let's say, they had other agendas. They had some other things in mind besides the true sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can't paint them all in the same brush. And in fact, Quran refers to some quote-unquote companions or people who were with the Prophet as hypocrites. I mean, the hypocrites, who are they? There were people who were with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people who in fact in some cases fought wars with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to defend Islam, but they had a hidden agenda. So what we're saying is, not all the Sahaba, not everyone is equal. The Sahaba, you have some great companions like Mus'ab ibn Umayr radwanullahi ta'ala alayh, the ambassador of the Prophet to Medina, who was martyred in the Battle of Uhud. You had people like, for example, Sa'ad ibn Ma'ad, and then Sa'ad ibn Ma'ad, may Allah bless his soul, who was shot with an arrow at the Battle of Khandaq and was martyred a few days later. You have people like Salman al-Farisi, you have people like Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, Ammar ibn Yasir, and I can go on. We respect them, we revere them, great individuals and personalities. When it comes to the Khulafa, we say that here is what they did. We state them by their actions. The Prophet, according to Shia ideology and to many Sunni hadith, appointed Ali ibn Abi Talib as the Khalifa when he said on the day of Ghadir that whomever I'm his master, Ali is his master. This hadith is accepted by almost all Muslims. Whether the interpretation of it is up for debate, but the hadith itself is there. So now, Shia believe that the Prophet appointed Imam Ali alayhi salam as a Khalifa, and what happened is the first Khalifa took that away from him, the Khilafah, away from Imam Ali, when in fact it was an appointment by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In doing so, basically, there were some consequences. And that's what we're saying. Otherwise, it's not that a matter of hate. I wouldn't use that word hate. But what we're stating historical facts. This is what happened in history. Now, if you read history, you'll see this is what went on. And that's what we talk about. We do not insult them. We do not use foul language against them. In fact, even our master Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, our Imam, has told us in Nahjul Balagha, the book which is compiled by Sharif al-Radi containing the sermons of Imam Ali, he has instructed us, the followers. He said, I hate for you, he uses this really powerful word, I hate for you to use foul language, to be, curse words or swear words like, sabbabin. So they said, then what should we say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, about people who fight against us and hurt us? He says, state them by their actions. Say, this is what they're doing. And that's what we do. This is really the true Shia ideology.
Ahsant, what a beautiful answer. And of course, we thank the brother sincerely for calling in. And I'm sure that answers your question. And of course, anything else would be not representative of the Shia ideology, as Sheikh Usama has mentioned. We are due for a break now. When we come back, we'll continue with this topic of respect. And of course, we will welcome all of your phone calls after the break. Inshallah, see you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Ahlulbayt live, the Muharram special with our guest Sheikh Usama Al Attar, who has been discussing the virtue of respect. What about this? I don't know. I think it's more of a Western ideology stroke concept, although of course when we talk about East and West, it's not like it was in the days of old.
That's right. It's now all one, to be honest with you. I mean, with all the satellites, all the internet, it's become, as they say, the whole globe has become a small village.
Yes. What about this ideology that okay, we have a call on the line. My apologies, that's why I was pausing. So I'll hold fire on my question. Let's go back to the phone lines. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Brother Rauf and Sheikh Usama.
Thank you very much. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, sister.
Sheikh Usama, was it last year or year before? I woke up for Fajr and then I logged into Facebook and I saw all over your face, the Saudis. My God, we all friends together here in my building and we kept Nazar of Fatima Sayyida's Kahani. It has always worked. MashaAllah.
Thank you very much, sister. You know, out of the grace of Allah and the barakah of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, who managed to commission mu'mineen like yourselves to pray for me that Allah saved me. And in fact, for those viewers and for you tonight, I'll be talking about this in my lecture. So if you would like to hear more details, you can come tonight, inshallah, to my lecture.
Inshallah, Sayyid, I'm your 60-year-old aunt or your mother, whatever. But there is one special request from me, please, Sayyid. You know, when after your majlis, I record all your majlises. Recite Amman Yujibul Musta, and then you go on to Fatima to Zahra wa Abiha wa Ba'liha wa Baniha. Please use a special prayer for Shafa for me, please.
Inshallah. I'll keep you in mind, inshallah, among those who requested dua. For sure, sister. Thank you so much. And keep me, please, in your dua as well. I still need your dua.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we've lost the call. Thank you very much, sister, for that. We do have another caller on the line, so I'm just going to wait until the call is patched in. Should be any second now. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Hello.
Alaikum
salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I called in earlier. Thank you for the answer.
You're welcome. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, you know, obviously I respect, obviously what you said. Obviously, that's a difference of opinion. My question was regarding, you know, obviously I respect the people, obviously respecting the khilaf, but I've came across the book, what's that called, Usul al-Kafi or something, Kitab al-Kafi.
Yes,
Have you? Do you know the book of that?
Of course, yeah, Sheikh al-Kulayni. Yes, right. Yes, one of the four books of hadith in the Shia school of thought.
Yeah, that book, which a lot of Shia believe that the authentic book for them, and I read a few sections and it clearly states about cursing Aisha radiallahu about her actions, and according to the Prophet, I believe he stated a lot of times not to curse his wife and obviously his companions. However, I'm talking about, you know, obviously we have some Shia brothers that curse the mother, and then they say like Sunni Shia should be equal. Obviously, I believe we should be equal, but however, I'm thinking about the fact that if they cuss, swearing and cursing the mother of the believers, isn't that affecting the unity of the brotherhood?
You know, brother, I have a question for you, since you're online, please. Are you aware that, you know, leave the cursing side, the cursing issue aside for now. Just give me for a second here. Are you aware that al-Mu'mineen Aisha, she participated in a major war and instigated a major war against Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib during the Khilafah of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib? Are you aware of this?
Yes, I'm aware of this.
Okay, now, in your opinion, you know, as a Muslim, was she right in doing so? 17,000 Muslims got killed in that battle. So was she just in... No, can you answer my question, please?
That was a difference in the opinion. That's what it is. But
yeah, but 17,000 Muslims... No, you see, brother, you're not answering my question. You're not answering my question. With all due respect, you know, I'm with you here. But if you can come with me as well, please. You know, Imam Ali, was he the rightful Khalifa or not? Can you answer that question for me?
He was the rightful Khalifa.
Okay, so just a second. Okay, so he's the rightful Khalifa. So then in her standing against... No, just 1 second, please. In her standing against the rightful Khalifa, was she just in doing so? Or did she contradict the word of the Quran that says, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ, that stay in your homes? Was she right, or did she go against it? Can you please answer that question for me?
If you're going to answer a question like that, obviously I'm not the person to obviously to understand the whole scenario of the Aisha and Ali radiallahu anhu situation. But however, didn't the Prophet mention not to curse the wives? Imagine cursing your own wife. Is that going to be suitable for someone to understand, like cursing your own wife?
Did you hear me just now cursing her? I did not do that.
I'm not talking about you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you.
So what I'm saying is the following. What I'm trying to get at is the following. We believe, and I reinstate what I said earlier, that we believe what she did was wrong, and not just us. Most Sunni historians, in fact, a lot of them, agree with us, the Shia, that she was not right in instigating that war against us. And if you're saying, and I respect your opinion in saying that I'm not at the position to state whether she did right or wrong, well, you can refer back to books and read the books and see what they say about her rising.
Allah knows the best, to be honest. Allah knows the best. But my question
No,
is,
no, not just Allah knows the best. No, but that's not really a sincere answer, with all due respect, because Allah knows the best about everything, right? But we have to know what is happening.
Wrong in that situation, don't you think you leave it to Allah? But however, can you swear at the woman, the wife of the Prophet?
We need to state what she did. We're not swearing at her. No, swearing at her is something I disagree with completely. We should.
Brother, not you. I'm
talking
about the
We're not.
people that.
I agree with you. I agree with you on the point. We should not be swearing at anyone. And I mentioned to you before the break. I said to you, Imam Ali, our Imam alayhi salam, who fought against al-Mu'minin Aisha, and she killed a lot of his companions, or she was responsible for the killing of a lot of his companions. Yet, even he tells us, he orders us, the Shia, do not akrahu. He says, I hate for you to be sabbabin, which means you use abusive language, swear words, wal-'iyadhu billah. So we don't use such language. As I told you, this is part of our Shia ideology. We do not use.
That's part of the Shia ideology. I respect that, but however, can you define like a Muslim, like for example, a Sunni Shia brother, be brotherhood when the Alpha Shia is insulting the mother of the believers? Would you accept that as a brotherhood? Would you, like, for example, someone cursing your mother, would you accept that as that person your brother?
What I would say is that we need to respect the fact that the Prophet ﷺ is our holy Prophet, and al-Mu'minin Aisha is the wife of our holy Prophet. However, we need to also state that what she did was not right, and in her doing so, she went against the word of the Holy Quran, which suggests that you should remain in your homes, as per the ayah number 33 of Surah Al-Ahzab 33. And we will say that she basically, in her participating in this battle and instigating the war against the Khalifa, the rightful Khalifa, as you yourself suggested earlier, along with Talha and Zubayr, the companions of the Prophet, who again instigated, and Marwan ibn al-Hakam, who was one of the instigators as well. Those people are responsible. They are all responsible for the 17,000 mu'min and Muslim who got killed in this battle. And hence, we need to state this, that what they did was wrong, because the reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions stories of Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun for us in the past is to tell us what's right and what's wrong, what's haqq and what's batil. We need to know who was on haqq and who was on batil. So we would say that she was on batil. Now, what I just said, I did not use any cursive language, any abusive language. No, what I'm trying to tell you, this is what we, the Shia, do. This is what we say. We say this. This is how we approach matters. This is how when we state the facts, in us doing so, some people consider us as we're cursing, we're insulting. We're not. You just heard what I said. I did not curse.
Yes, but, you know the book Usul al-Kafi, it states Abu Bakr, Kafir, Murtadi.
Okay, dear brother, I think you've had quite a long time, and because we're going round in circles, I am going to ask him to address the Al-Kafi issue, and of course you mentioned it's a Sahih book. Maybe for him to address exactly what the position is. What I
would like to do, because again, let's be fair for other callers, and again, I don't want to interrupt, discourage.
Let me just finish that one question. Then,
go ahead, please. Go ahead, brother.
Basically, the Usul Kafi, that book, it states Abu Bakr Murtad, Umar Murtad. If that was the case, then I don't understand why. How is it not cursing? Imagine the Prophet in his time, 23 years, that majority of that book says the 4 people that was left, the left companion, the rest was surrounded by Murtad Kafir around the Prophet. Now, within the 23 years of reign of the Prophet, would you have only 4 people following? And when Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, he had 12 disciples in 3 years.
Okay.
That's my question, because it doesn't
Sure.
make sense.
Yeah.
No, I
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that, brother. I'm going to ask
And do
you.
me a favor, because maybe we cannot continue our discussion now, but if you feel free to email me, please.
Yes,
And then
brother,
and then
that
be,
would be nice, because
because
I've
right now
respect.
we're not going to
I've got
get to,
respect.
yeah, unfortunately we're not going to get, you may not be satisfied with the answers because of the time, unfortunately, and we're restricted with time as well. We want to give chance to other callers as well, and I think you can understand that as well.
I
So,
understand.
so do
Just
me a
wanted to say
favor,
that,
we may not,
obviously,
we'll continue this discussion inshallah later on. Send me an email. I am usamaalattar.net, that's my website, and from there you can find my
yes.
email, and send me an email, and maybe one day we'll call or we'll Skype or something, and we'll continue our discussion. How is that, brother?
Alhamdulillah, brother.
I really appreciate your call. Allah bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
calling in. So
And
we'll
just-
continue the discussion with this brother,
Inshallah. And
inshallah.
if you don't mind, just very quickly before we go to the next call, I mean, he's mentioned Al-Kafi a couple of times, and he mentioned the Sahih book as well. If you could just address that issue and...
Well, in response to Brother Abdul Rauf's question is, we do not have any book in the Shia. I mean, we have 4 books of hadith. None of them we consider as sahih, which means everything within it is absolutely accurate. Okay? So there is room for analysis, critique in the Shia books of hadith, including Kitab al-Kafi. However, having said this, there are ways of explaining whatever the hadith that this brother was talking about. And inshallah, as I mentioned, I just don't want to spend the whole time,
Sure.
But brother, I do want to leave off with this point that we do respect the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as you mentioned several times, you said, I'm not talking about you, Osama, you're not cursing, you're not, and I really appreciate this from you. But really, the way I'm talking is the way our ulama, our scholars talk. And by ulama, I mean our what we call as maraja. When we refer to grand ayatollahs like Sheikh Wahid al-Khurasani, Sayyid Ali Sistani, and other great maraja, may Allah bless them all and prolong their lives, the way they talk is the way I'm talking. They do not use such abusive language about these individuals. We respect them. But we do state that they did certain actions for which the unity of the Muslims was jeopardized and was separated. And hence, we need to state this so that we can learn where is the truth and where is falsehood. And we are ordered by the Quran to always follow the truth, the haqq. If I do not analyze history and study history, and figure out who was on haqq and who was on batil, then how am I going to distinguish where is haqq and where is batil? When those individuals fought against the rightful Khalifa, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, then their rising against the Khalifa was batil, as per many historians and many analysts. Then let me stick with Ali ibn Abi Talib because he's on haqq. So these are things we need to be frank about, and to distinguish where is the truth so that we, inshallah, become among those who are adherent to the truth. But we'll continue, inshallah, the discussion with you, my dear brother, over Skype or email in the future. May Allah bless you. Jazakallah khair. Ahsantum.
State the facts and leave it for each and every individual to decide what is...
Absolutely. Yeah. History. History is history.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. That's taken up quite a lot of our time, but of course we needed to afford the brother the airtime to express his feelings. We do have some time left, and I think I do have another caller on the line. Thank you very much for your patience. Welcome to the show. Assalamu
Hello,
alaikum.
assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, brothers?
Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you. Thank you.
I've got a question. Actually, I've got 2 questions, but just very briefly as well. I'm Shia. I've been attending mosque pretty much all my life. I've never heard any ulama or any Shia person of authority ever disrespect the first 3 caliphs. And I've noticed individuals, in the past that do things like this. And we've always been very strong in, abstaining and telling them this is not the Shia way. And I don't actually believe these people are genuine Shias who do this. I believe they're infiltrators. You can't be Shia and disrespect someo's whole deen and religion. So, anyway, I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, brother.
The first question actually is I saw a video of a guy called Sheikh Usama Khan. He was speaking about the Battle of Uhud, and there was an interesting point he made because, obviously, when I was growing up, I heard some alternative stories. He was basically talking about the munafiqeen and who they were, and he referred to the Munafiqeen as the leader of the Munafiqs as Abdullah ibn Ubayd, and he said he was commander of around about 300 soldiers or so within the ranks of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's army. And these 300 or so members with their leader tried to desert before the battle began. And these were the Munafiqs. And there was a ayat revealed in the Quran which said something along the lines of Allah decreed this to happen so that the hypocrites would become known. Okay? So that's my first question, really. And I do have another one. I don't know if that's enough for you.
Sure. If you can be quick, and then there shouldn't be any problem.
I actually did not get your first question. I'm sorry. What was the question itself? I heard you making the statement, but what was the question?
Who are the real munafiqeen of this? And does this ayat in the Quran really refer to this gentleman known as Abdullah ibn Ubayd?
Okay, thank you. Ahsan.
That's the question.
Okay, and what's the second question? If you quickly, please.
The second question, actually, I was watching a video of a gentleman called Asim al-Hakim.
Okay.
And it was about Imam Ali alayhi salam. I think the program is called something like Companions of the Prophet. It was quite interesting because it's supposed to revere the companions of the Prophet, but I noticed for a 30-minute program, it was actually incredibly disrespectful to Imam Ali alayhi salam instead of being positive. So aside from all that, the gentleman who was talking about Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was making lots of different points, but what I found was actually a lot of the points he was making were very negative. One in particular, which I thought was, this I found to be untrue, and I've always heard this to be untrue since growing up, so I'd like to back it up with facts. He mentioned that when Abu Talib, the father of Imam Ali alayhi salam, passed away, Imam Ali went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, your uncle's passed away. In the manner in which he said it as well, he praised the manner in which Imam Ali said it. He says, your uncle, the Munafiq, passed away. What do you want me to do with the body? This is the Sheikh's words, Sheikh Asim Al Hakim. So your uncle, the Munafiq, passed away. What would I do with his body? So Prophet Muhammad said, bury him, give him a Muslim burial. And Imam Ali apparently, he fought with, well, not fought, but he had exchanged words in saying, well, actually, look, why do you want to bury my father in this way? He was the Munafiq. So this is the question now is, was actually Abu Talib in fact a Munafiq? And why would people say that? And where did they get this information from? Is there any way I can find where the hadiths are coming from? Because I've always heard otherwise. I heard he was a great protector.
Okay. Thank you very much, brother. Some very nice questions. Unfortunately, we don't have a great deal of time.
I'll be very quick. So, Surah Al-Munafiqun, my dear brother, verse number 8, Allah says, they say, يقولون, when we go back to Medina, لَإِنْ رَجَعْنَا إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ, the honorable one of us, referring to the Ansar, will kick out the Muhajirin, al-Adhal. And part of the Muhajirin is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this statement was said in verse number 8 of Surah Al-Munafiqun, stated by Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. So that is indeed there. And he was one of the heads of the hypocrites. And he referred to, wal-'iyadhu billah, the Prophet as a dhalil, wal-'iyadhu billah, as someone who's lower class, as someone who's, the guys are like, wal-'iyadhu billah, using my paraphrase word, pests, who've come over to us and we've refuged them, we've sheltered them, now let's kick them out. So indeed, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul was one of the heads of the Munafiqeen, and there are verses in the Quran mentioned about him with God's regard. Another, the latter question is about that Abu Talib, alayhi salam, I would say, and this kind of answers your question. Abu Talib as a man who was not a hypocrite. On the contrary, it's the opposite of a hypocrite. He did taqiyya, where he actually showed kufr, but his heart was full of iman. And the reason for that is to protect Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is a great book in Arabic, unfortunately, I haven't seen its English translation yet, by a Sheikh al-Khunayzi called Abu Talib, and it's a book that discusses about the iman of Abu Talib. I mean, how do you prove someone is a mu'min? What's a proof? Let's say through his words. Well, Abu Talib has a lot of poetry where he says, and I know that the religion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of the religions. And many other poetry where he says that, he states clearly that I am a mu'min, in his poetry. Okay? But in a kind of using poetry as a way of stating it. How do you else? Through actions. Okay, well, Abu Talib protected his nephew. And not because he was his nephew, because Abu Lahab also, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was his nephew, yet he went against him. So it's not just a matter of, well, let me be nice to my nephew. No, he protected him because he knew he was on haqq. And in many cases, during the time when they were in the valley of Abu Talib, Shu'ab Abi Talib, you know what Abu Talib used to do, Abu Talib alayhi salam? At night, when people would sleep, he would go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would wake him up. He says, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet, go sleep in my place, I will sleep in your place. Just in case someone at night might want to come and kill the Prophet, I would be there. So he's sacrificing his life for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so through his words, through his actions, and the Prophet, all Muslims agree when Abu Talib died, he considered as what? Amul Huzn, the year of mourning. Would you consider Amul Huzn for a kafir? If that is the case, why didn't he consider, the year of when Abu Lahab died as Amul Huzn as well? They're both his uncles. If that's the argument, just because he's his uncle, that's nonsense. He actually considered Amul Huzn because a year of mourning for a man who was a mu'min and defended the religion of Islam. And finally, when he died, the Prophet ﷺ told Imam Ali, you take care of his burial, kafan, ghusl, etc., salat. So, and it's mustahab for an older son to take care of the burial of his father, especially when that older son, his essence, his nafs, is the same nafs of the Prophet ﷺ, like Amir al-Mu'mineen, nafs Rasulullah ﷺ. So he told him, you take care of him. All these and many other, I can go on, but we don't have time, prove that Abu Talib alayhi salam was a mu'min, was a believer, and the Prophet cried for him, and he ordered Imam Ali to give him an Islamic burial. And Imam Ali did not contest that. Imam Ali is not the type of a person who would argue wal-'iyadhu billah with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. He is the utmost devout believer in the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So this is the reality. You have people saying things here and there. All this was initiated by Bani Umayyah against Abu Talib so that they would try to prove him as a kafir wal-'iyadhu billah.
No time. Thank you to all of the callers. So just to wrap up and conclude, respect with regards to the event of Karbala, please.
You look at the way that the companions used to deal with one another. Look at the respectful language they had. Each one of them would come out of respect and humbleness before Imam Hussein and say, would you give me permission to go and fight? Imam Hussein's respect to his sister Zainab alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. Now we say, women's right, women's right. The respect Imam Hussein had for it. It is said on the eve of Ashura, Imam Hussein was sharpening his sword. Zainab enters. He stands up, welcoming her. Stands up. And he's her Imam. Yet, he has so much value and respect for Zainab, salamullahi alayha. That's why we, the followers of Ahlulbayt, when we find someone coming into the room, find them standing up out of respect, following. So, these akhlaq and these manners that we have of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, demonstrating the pinnacle of respect with the companions, with his siblings, with his children. And we need to implement this with our social life, our wives, our children, and inshallah this way we're following the footsteps of al-Hussein, and may Allah grant us his shafa'ah in this world, in the qabr and in the hereafter.
Inshallah, Santum, thank you very much. And I guess as well, we can extend that to brothers who are Muslims of a different school of thought, and even non-Muslims as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Our respect goes to the entire society because Imam Hussein respected the whole of humanity, and the Ahlul Bayt did so. They are rahmah to the alameen, to the universe, and we as followers of Ahlul Bayt need to be a rahmah also, a mercy to the entire universe.
Santum, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed to all of the callers who called in, made it a very interesting show. Inshallah, Sheikh Usama will also be here again tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. Remember, you can catch him in Northwest London. I have run out of time. Assalamu alaikum.